Hello everyone. In this video we have a nice problem over here, and then we are going to solve this problem in a very simple way. So let's quickly see how to solve this problem. So you realize that for the first part we have a plus that a cube plus 1 being equal to 30a cube divided by a squared plus 1. Now let's go ahead and then distribute this. So distributing that, we have this to be a to the power 4 plus a cube plus 1, and then that being equal to a cube divided by a squared plus 1 in this case, right? So with something like this, let's write this, let's group item. So a cube plus a plus 1, I'm going to leave and then bring this one here. So bringing it there, I have a squared plus 1 being equal to just 30 a cube, right? So this is what we have. Now let me go ahead and then distribute this again. So we distribute this. So in the first case we are going to get a to the power 6 plus a to the power 4. Now next one is going to be a to the power 5 plus a to the power cube. Now we have a to the power cube plus a, and then we have a to the power squared plus 1 in this case, and then all being equal to 30 a cube, right? Now this is what we have, and then what we are going to do next is just to group them very well. So let's group them well. A to the power 6 plus a to the power 5 plus a to the power 4, right? So the groupable items, we have a cube, a cube, a cube. So we have 2a cube. Then this moves to the other side, becomes negative 28 a cube plus a squared plus a being equal to then plus 1 being equal to 0. Now we have a very nice equation. This is an interesting symmetrical equation, and we can solve this by dividing all sides by the middle term, which is the a cube that we see over here. So we divide all by the middle term, which is the a cube, and then also remember that for the domain of this equation, a shouldn't be equal to 0. A shouldn't be equal to 0, as we can see. Now dividing all sides by the middle term a cube, you divide here by a cube, divide by a cube, or basically let's do it this way, dividing everything here by a cube. You realize that this is just going to be left with a cube plus this side will be left with a squared plus a, and this part will be left with minus 28. This part will be left with 1 over a, and then with this part we have 1 over a squared, and then the last part will be plus 1 over a cube being equal to 0, right? Now this is what we are going to have. Very nice equation over here. Now what do we have to do? We've grouped items, we've done everything, so let's go ahead and group items. Yes, we can go ahead and group items with the exponent. So we have a cube, we also have 1 over a cube, so plus 1 over a cube, plus we have a squared plus 1 over the a squared that is over here, plus a plus 1 over the a here, minus 28 here being equal to 0, right? Now from here what we do is to now do some comparison over here. Now you realize that so now if you look at the whole thing, you realize that we have different types of terms over here, right? Now this term over here, which is the a squared plus 1 over a squared, can be written in terms of this term that we see over here. So if that is the case, then what we have to do is to set, let's say, a variable s here being equal to a plus 1 over a, right? Now let's call this one let's call this one equation 0, right? Equation 0. And then let's call this one equation 1 for now. we'll come back to that. Now if that is the case, which means that s squared will just be equal to a plus 1 over a, just squaring that, right? And just squaring that, we are just going to get, expanding that, we are going to get 1 a squared plus 1 over a squared plus 2. And then from here we can then go ahead and find what, because we can, as said, we can write this in terms of this, right? So which means that we have the a squared plus 1 over a squared, which has popped up over here. Let's make that a subject. So we have a squared plus 1 over a squared. Now that will be equal to, now let's send everything to the other side. So we have s squared minus 2. So you can see that, let's call this one equation 2, right? Now you see that with this equation we'll be able to derive this equation out of it. That's nice. Now also with the a cube, when we have a plus b cube, right? With a plus b cube, you realize that when we expand this, we have a cube plus b cube plus 3ab into bracket a plus b. Very nice identity. So which means that if we have something like s cube, right, if we are expanding this with respect to s cube, which is just expanding your a cube, which is just having like something like this, s cube, we are just going to get something like, so let's use a in this case, right? A cube, just let's use a, let's write this one as s, let's use a. So we are going to get a cube plus 1 over a cube, right, plus 3 over a plus 1a, right? Very nice. So you can see that just cubing that, we'll be able to derive the a cube also. Now if that is the case, which means that we can also write make a cube the subject here. So making a cube the subject here, we have the whole of this to be equal to, so we have this to be equal to just the s cube here minus 3 into bracket a plus 1 over a in this case, right? So let's call this one equation 3. Very nice. So we have about 4 equations now. Now how do we get the values of s in order for us to get the values of a, right? Now for us to get the values of s, what we have to do is to now take the general equation, now the equation 0, right? We have equation 0. Remember we said let this equation be equal to equation 0. So what we are going to do is that we are going to put both equation 1, 2 and 3 into equation 0, right? So what is equation 0? For equation 0, we have, remember we said a cube plus 1 over a cube, right? And then we had plus a squared plus 1 over a squared, right? And then a plus 1 over a here minus 28 equal to 0. And we said that this is equation 0, right? Now nice. Now if this is equation 0, then we can then go ahead and then substitute everything into it, because we know what a cube plus 1 over a cube is. A cube plus 1 over a cube in this case is just s cube minus 3. So we have s cube minus 3, then we bring the plus. Now what is a squared plus 1 over a squared? Now a squared plus 1 over a squared, we said that is equation 2, and we said that one should be equal to s squared minus 2. And then with this one, a plus 1 over a is actually the equation 1, which is equal to s. Then we bring our negative 28 being equal to 0 in this case. So you can see that. Let's go ahead. So getting something like this, what we have to do is to now write it out. So we have s cube here, and then we have positive s squared, and then from there we have 3 we have minus 3x here, and then plus x here, which is minus 2x, and then we have minus 2s minus 28 gives us minus 30 equal to 0. So this is what we have. Now if this is what we have, now from this equation we have to look for values of for which s will be equal to 0, right? So what values of s will give us 0? Now after doing a lot of testing, when we substitute 1, we are not going to get equal to 0, but then when s equal to 3, all of this goes to 0. So if that is the case, then this tells us that s equal to 3 is one of the solutions to the equation. So basically s minus 3 becomes one of the roots of the equation, right? Now if it becomes one of the roots of the equation, how do we get the other roots of the equation, or how do we get the possible values of s? Now what we have to do is now go ahead and use the long division formula, right? So we have s minus 3 outside here, and then we have this equation s cubed plus s squared minus 2s here minus 30, right? Good. Now from here, using the long division formula, we have s cubed over here. So in order for us to get the s cubed so that it goes away, we have s squared. So s squared multiplied by x here gives us s cubed. S squared multiplied by minus 3 here gives us minus 3 s squared, right? So in this case, subtracting that, we have this goes to 0. We have s squared plus, because it's minus minus, it becomes plus 3s, which is 4s squared, right? We are left with 2s minus 30 here. Now s goes into that, it becomes plus 4x, right? 4s multiplies by that, we got 4s squared. 4s multiplied by minus 3 here becomes minus 12s. So this goes to 0, and then we have minus 2s plus 12 here, and this gives us 10s minus 30 in this case. Now we have 10s minus 30. Now s goes into 10s, we are just left with plus 10. So 10 multiplied by that gives us 10x, and then 10x here multiplied by minus 3 here gives us minus 30, and then everything goes to 0, right? So this tells us that minus 3 and then s squared plus 4s plus 10 are the roots, or they are the possible values. So let's solve the quadratic equation over here. So we have s squared plus 4s plus 10 being equal to 0. Now solving all of this equation just by saying a equal to 1, b here equal to 4, and c here equal to 10 using the quadratic formula, we are just going to get our x here to be equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 6 and then imaginary. That's what we are going to get. So in this case, since we have the possible values of s, in this case we have s being equal to 3, and then minus 2 plus or minus imaginary square root of 6. Now if that is the case, remember we said that we should let x equal to a over 1 over a, right? We set s to be that is from the equation 1. So if that is the case, and then x here is equal to 3 in this case, then which means that we have 3 here being equal to a 1 over a, then in this case we have multiplying outside by a, we have a squared plus 1, and then from here we are going to get a quadratic equation. So getting a quadratic equation, we have a squared minus 3a plus 1 equals 0, right? Now when we solve this also using the quadratic formula, saying a equal to 1, b equal to minus 3, and c equal to 1, when we solve this quadratic equation, we are just going to get 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 divided by 2, and that will be the value of a when s equal to 3, right? Now what if s equal to for s equal to minus 2 plus or minus I square root of 6, what basically going to do is that if s is equal to a plus 1 over that, you just substitute that into it, and that gives us the other values of x. So you can just continue that and do it. I don't want to keep this video long, so thank you very much for joining me in this section. If you are new here, please like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell, and also give this video a thumbs up. And thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video.